Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest rendition of Tales from Outer Space. Taken from the subreddit HFY. All the relevant links will be down below. And as always, I hope that you enjoy, and if you do, please consider supporting the channel. Now, on to the science fiction. Story number 1. Ghost Ships, written by Tamwin 5. Don't you know better than to rouse an old cripple from his nap? A drink. Yes, I suppose that's reason enough. So, what stories do you want to hear from an old fool like me? I suppose it's true. I may not own a single bolt, but this is my station. Been here longer than anyone else by, quite some time. It seems that you had the good sense to listen to someone's advice then. So tell me, what brings you out to the clouds? Treasure hunter, ha! First piece of advice, you're a scrapper. Don't have to think that yourself, but it'll be what you tell everyone else, because half of what's out there is scrap metal, and the other half are treasure hunters who didn't have the sense to buy me a drink. And on the off chance that you do flip a coin onto the edge and strike a precursor, well, you don't want to be advertising your haul as treasure then, do you? So, my scrapper friend, the advice this drink brought you, you need repairs for your ship, go to Besnilla. If you want upgrades, Fernaka will be cheap, but Zenden will last. Never dock in Bay 3. Park in orbit and spacewalk if you don't have a choice. Don't tell the clean work your flight path, and it seems my drink is empty. Shame that. Oh, another one. Oh, is that no red? Oh, don't mind if I do. They just don't make the same out here. So, what do you want to know? The ghost ships. They ain't no rumor, boy. If you seen one, cut all power, shields, weapons, even the air scrubbers. Rig a pocket transmitter to broadcast a pattern of 3 short bursts, 3 long bursts, repeating. Then launch that transmitter away from you as far and as fast as you can. Once that ghost ship leaves, best not stick around. What? I just told you, they're ghost ships. You get one look at them, half destroyed, and you'll know there isn't a soul alive. You run a scan, and in the moments before you get turned to scrap, you'll see that it has no power either. An Imperial scout fleet tried fighting one once. Their shots landed true, right through the cockpit and engines. That didn't stop the ship though. Luckily, the logs of the cruiser survived that massacre. Actually, you know what? Since you went to the trouble of bringing me no red, I'm going to tell you a story. A proper story. One you won't hear from anyone else. The story of the race whose bones still fill those ghost ships. The story of humanity. If you look at the origin of a species, you can figure out practically everything you need to know about them. Basic psychology, basic biology. Humans evolved as resistance hunters. It is an incredibly rare evolutionary dish. Essentially, they were able to secrete water from their skin, the evaporation cooling their body. This allowed them to get rid of the excess heat better than any other species on their planet. They would chase their prey, no matter how big, for days, exhausted to death. As I'm sure you know, losing their homeworld is the death knell of a species. Doesn't matter how old the species is, how spread out they are. No species ever lasts more than a dozen centuries. There are hundreds of theories as to why, but the facts are indisputable. Humans were no different. Another species found the humans scarcely after they had first discovered warmth. Decided that the fledgling race would make good slaves. When the humans put up an actual fight, they decided to just glass the humans' homeworld and send a message to the other conquests. Some races would have surrendered after the resounding defeat. Some would have been overwhelmed by the loss and sadness. But humans, the only emotions they felt were rage and anger and hatred. They didn't know their race was doomed, but even if they had, I doubt they would have cared. So they started hunting. Ambushes, hit and runs, 1,000 cuts across 1,000 systems. They had no home left to defend, no lines of battle to hold, never resting, driven by their rage. Can you imagine what it's like to be at war for 1,000 years, never able to truly relax, always double-checking the scanners. Generations were traumatized. They didn't even have a tenth of the firepower, but they killed an empire by exhaustion. It was at that point, when the empire finally collapsed and the fleets tried to surrender, did they discover there were no humans left. They died off long ago, turning their ships into mausoleums. The ships were piloted solely by the hate and vengeance of those who once flew them. Then the survivors tried to run, but they didn't turn out any better. Humans may have had little need for rest, but ghosts have even less. Now, here they are, the echo of a species who refused to die quietly in the night, hunting a foe long since killed. I wish I could tell them that they had won. Let their souls be at peace. Hey, kid, when you go hunting out there, if you do find the humans' homeworld, build them some kind of monument there. Put it in the center of the biggest impact crater you could find. Here lies a race of victors. Something poetic like that. Feels like something the humans would have wanted. Copy of the audio log recovered from the archaeological site 37.32.8-B. End of story. Story number 2. Alone, written by Historical Chicken. 2 possibilities exist. Either we're alone in the universe or we're not. Both are equally terrifying. Arthur C. Clarke. Arthur C. Clarke was a brilliant man, an inventor, a writer, a futurist. The list goes on. Though, as brilliant as he was, even he couldn't have guessed the truth of the galaxy. The thought that man was alone terrified him, as did the thought that we weren't. But what should have terrified him? The fact that we were alone now, and that we haven't always been. There was a time, millennia ago, when the space wasn't so hostile. A time where life flourished on many planets in many systems. Explorers and researchers filled the void between the stars on journeys throughout the known galaxy. Until the inevitable march of time crumbled their empires, rusted their ships, and ravaged their people. A galaxy, once teeming with life on the pursuit of understanding, silenced by some unknown force. Humans are alone, as they've always been. We felt alone at home, on our own world, always reaching out, never to be acknowledged. When finally we broke the chains that bound us to Earth, we found a devastating truth, that alone was all we were destined to be. The terrifying, soul-crushing truth of the galaxy isn't that we're surrounded by hostile forces. It isn't that we're alone. It's that we were so damned close. So close to the galaxy that would have welcomed us with open arms. So close to the galaxy of individuals to share ourselves with. So close to not being alone. But we are. We're alone in a galaxy filled with the remnants of the past. We can see every planet, travel to every star, dock with every derelict ship between them. But we'll never know their crews. We'll never see them face to face, never get to know them. We can see the scars of battle and empathize with the horrors of war, but we'll never know why they fought. And that's the damnedest part. We want to know. We want to know we're not alone. We want to know that the way we fight is like them, that they had struggles like we did. We want to know that we're normal, that we're not miracles or accidents. That we are alone of the two is a much more terrifying outcome. We could handle others, we could negotiate or make plans for war. But what do we do with our loneliness? What can be done with the realization that there is nobody else out there? At least, not anymore. I don't know. I don't know what lies ahead of us. I don't know what we'll do with this fact. Maybe nothing. Or maybe we'll get sick of being alone. Maybe someday we'll leave this galaxy like they did. Then loneliness can be left to itself. End of story. Alone for Now, written by Historical Chicken. When we first reached out into the stars, it was with an outstretched hand, waiting to find another to shake. It was unfortunate that we would pull it back, having never felt the embrace of another. Millennia ago, the galaxy wasn't so empty. You were just as likely to look up and see the twinkling of an FTL drive as you were the stars. But in time, far too little time, the galaxy had grown cold. Remnants, bits and pieces of civilization left behind as if the entirety of space was their graveyard, a tragedy or a warning. The loneliness was bitter. We had struggled our entire existence to answer the question of our place in the universe, but we didn't like the answer. We didn't like being what was left to offer. But we marched on. We advanced further and further until we could do almost anything. Almost! We still couldn't escape the loneliness. But we tried. We did dock with the ships, studied the planets filled with ancient cities, even saw images of those who came before us. It filled the void, if only slightly. It gave us comfort in the fact that though we were alone now, it may not always be that way. And then it clicked. These ships, these cities, these people, they were alone too. Each one of them, one after another, burst onto the galactic stage yearning to see the faces of their brethren from other worlds. They hoped, they waited, and they died, never having known another. Each one of these people, they felt the same loneliness. They may have even discovered the same facts that we had about the true nature of life in the galaxy. It wasn't rare, it was slow, but they couldn't overcome it. Each civilization snuffed out before another could emerge, and now it was our turn. Now we would face the great filter, loneliness. But we would not be like them. We wouldn't simply fade into the dark. We would not sit around and wait for the existence to come to a quiet end. We built an armada of ships, trained generations of diplomats, did our best to protect every planet. We did not hide ourselves away. We shone brightly in the night sky. We screamed, "We are here!" And we waited for a response. A response that we knew, deep down, we may not be around to hear. End of story. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you do, please consider supporting the author, even by popping over and leaving a thumbs up or a nice comment, just to show your appreciation for the story. However, if you wish to support this channel, there are links down below which will help immensely. I will see you all in the next one, and until then, I hope that you have a fantastic day. Cheers.